Borderline syndrome. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about, well, basically any syndrome and how they affect us and what they are. I've recently been diagnosed with it, and it, of course, therefore is quite brand new and eye-opening for me. It's like finding a lost key and opening a lock with all the answers to plenty of questions I've had about myself. But one recurring thing is the fact that when reading about the diagnosis, it's obvious for me that not everyone is the same. What's probably quite obvious to many of you, of course, but when you read about these things, you can sometimes notice that they tend to lack in describing the things that are not your diagnosis and how they can affect also your personality. Everything that's unique about you. What makes you another person from the bunch of people having the same syndrome, of course. We have a lot of different things that affect us in our life. Our upbringing, our surroundings, me living in a Western country, a peaceful country, in this rural setting, is of course quite different from being a person living in a big city, perhaps in the third world country. All the things that are unique from the social perspective. And then there's the biological differences. How we differ as persons. And in my view, here's my cat. Hello. In my view, it's the diagnosis is more of a, it's not the dish. If you make this comparison, if a human being is a dish, the diagnosis is more like the seasoning of the dish rather than the dish itself. I firmly believe this. I mean, if you take any seasoning you like and you prefer, and you sprinkle on top of a dish, it's going to taste of this. Use ketchup and it will taste ketchup. Regardless if you season a fried chicken wing or a hot dog, there's going to be similarities there. And this is a very important thing to bear in mind when you think about a person with its diagnosis. It's very easy to assume that two people even sharing the same diagnosis are same type of people. We will share common things, we will find common ground, we will have things that are very much the same, but we are still fundamentally often two types of people, very different people. A very emotional person at its core who has borderline will of course be quite different from a more colder and logical person even. So that thing alone is often, I think it's often just missed. So when I discuss this thing with both my therapist when I still went to therapy, and with friends sharing their ideas, their perspective on this thing, because they know someone, perhaps they have someone in their surrounding who has borderline. It's not really always applicable to the things I have, the things I've experienced, my conditioning. There are many paths, even within the diagnosis itself, to feeling better, to describing it. I just realized I'm walking around on this freshly cut field. It might sound a lot. So, this is just one of those things that perhaps people should think about. Why am I doing this video? That is a question you might ask yourself if you haven't seen the introductory video. It's more of a therapeutic video for myself. Reach out, talk to other people with same experiences, different experiences even, so that we might learn from each other. And the point of this video in particular is remember that behind a diagnosis there's a real other person that might have a ton of experience that not similar at all to the ones you have. So what worked for you or worked for your friend, that might not work for this person. I've experienced this myself. I lost a very good friend over this. She continuously explained to me that you can do this, you can do that, and it will help. And I explained that, well, this diagnosis, borderline, is complex and there are many variations of it, even not considering all the kinds of personalities there are of people. And that the path to becoming more stable, handling the borderline, is sometimes very different. It's one way isn't going to work for everyone. This is actually one of the first things you learn when you study about borderline. There are multiple ways, multiple variations. But no, this friend of mine persisted. She continued to tell me what I should do. I gently declined this more than once. And finally, I got pissed. I got angry. I felt that she didn't respect me as a person, as someone who was living with this condition and first-handedly knew what I was talking about. And I had a plan with my therapist of what to do. But no. She had a friend that had the same condition. And this friend was introduced to medicines. I tried to explain that my borderline is not really typical of depression. It's not what really distinguishes my symptoms from other. It's I will go into more detail about my condition in another video, but it's annoying when someone can't take a no for an answer, to say the least. So at the time I was in a real bad spot. So I there's no easy way to say it. I told her to get lost, basically, and stop with the preaching of medicines, which I'm no adversary, and I'm not against medicines at all. But at that time, at that spot, at the recommendation of my therapist and everything like that, medicines weren't really the thing that I primarily was going to try. It was therapy and self-therapy. So, there you have it. She couldn't take this and just basically canceled me. So, there you go. Living with borderline is hard, and it's hard for your surrounding. I mean, I complained a lot and was probably emotional all the time when we talked, but friendship is sometimes very fragile. But in the end, if you are a person who know someone, perhaps a loved one, a family, a friend, remember that your advice, regardless if they come from heart, knowledge, or personal experiences, might not be relevant to everyone, because there are so many variations, so many things, variables that affects basically any type of diagnosis, but especially borderline. Borderline is basically, for those who don't know, I presume everyone who listens to a video like this knows, borderline is just in its core an inability to control emotions. I really suck at it from time to time. Stress is a key variable that makes me lose my ability. Stress is a big no-no. Not everyone has the same problem with stress. I know that. When I read about people's experiences with borderline, it's quite clear that some people have, they have a lot of other issues that are in the background. Perhaps a trauma, childhood incident. In my case, it's a long line of things that have affected me and brought this condition up and controlled to a place where it controlled my life, basically, where it damaged everything. So it's not easy. It's not easy explaining to people that even if they mean good, their advices can be really annoying, frustrating, and even wrong, despite them having facts backing it up, because the core of this condition is the fact that it's very, very different from person to person. Look at the surroundings here. It's nice here. At this time of year, this place fills you with energy. and my trusted friend here tags along, wondering what the heck am I doing? Talking to myself in a foreign language, filming. Well, this is my first attempt of making a video about what is in effect a new condition for me. It's not. I've had it basically at least 15 years, but I've known about the diagnosis for about a year now. So I think I will continue this format of me walking, talking. I will address different topics this way. They will most certainly come back to borderline, which in my case affects my life very negatively. I've struggled with my career, with my love life, with everything because of it. But I've also learned a lot of things thanks to this, long before I knew that this was borderline. I mean, I'd known for a very long time that something was wrong, but I kind of just missed what was wrong. I was misdiagnosed with depression several times, and it really didn't seem to fit in a way that was good enough. There was always something more lurking in the background that I missed. Farmlands are quite nice, aren't they? Underappreciated. People always talk about forests and coasts and things like that. And yes, I love all of those things. Mountains as well. All kinds of nature. But just your regular farm area, farmlands, fields of crops, open land. It's quite nice, ain't it? Am I right? This cat, he's 14 years old. His name is Nisse. Nisse. Hello. Hello. And he is my best friend in life. In a way that an animal can be, of course. Well, this was a bit of a shaky video with topics sliding. No manuscript, as you can tell. That is going to be this channel in its core. It's going to be no video with any real form of manuscript. It's all going to be improvised, talking about topics that are important, about men's health, about borderline, about dating, I believe, about politics, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to talk about being a man. That is quite an awkward topic to talk about, but I think I will manage to find a way. Anyway, signing off. Take care.